Hi friend, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and in this video we're going to look at our LED wall and talk about how to design an LED wall. What parts do you need? What do you need to look out for so that you make sure you get the right thing and you get everything you need? I want to start off with a story. Recently we had somebody come through at Learn Stage Lighting Gear looking for the hanging bars for an LED wall. Okay. They had gone ahead and bought a wall and they were about to hang it, and they realized that whoever sold it to them didn't sell them all the pieces they need. Now this is absolutely ridiculous, and it's what we stand against here at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. If you get a wall through us, you're gonna have everything you need. You're gonna have the support you need to set it up and the videos online to make sure you get it right. So what we're gonna do in this video is talk about all the parts and pieces that you might need to put together a wall. It's going to vary, but overall, you want to make sure you have all these parts before you begin, or else you're not going to be successful and you might get hit with unexpected costs. So let me go grab a couple things and we're going to talk about the parts you need to put together an LED wall. Putting together an LED wall is not all that complicated, but it's also not simple. If you watched our video over on the main Learn Stage Lighting channel, then you'll see we built this LED wall from scratch here just the other day. We started with a ground support system, and we'll put a picture of that here. And that's perfect for when you're putting an LED wall on the ground. It allows you to level things out and build up from there. If you buy a good ground support system, it's going to tell you how high you can go, and it's going to tell you what kind of weight you need to put on the back if you're going certain heights. Okay? Then you have the panels themselves. Okay? So if you're ground supporting, first of all, the panels will sit on the ground, and depending on which brand's wall you're getting, you may need to get the hanging bars. So here, for example, I'm just going to show you these. They're wrapped up. But these are the hanging bars for an LED wall. This is 2 of them, and they are the 500 millimeter wide size. They are able to hang from truss as well as other places. The biggest key is that you do need to make sure if you are hanging, we recommend getting a professional involved, and we can help connect you with one to make sure that where you're hanging it from can support that weight. Other ways to hang walls. Some walls support hanging on a wall directly. Instead of from a truss hanging down where you see the cables and the span sets hanging it from above. And that can be great in a permanent installation. But if you're portable, if you're setting it up and tearing it down, then that's probably not the route to go. You're going to want to go ground stacked, which you can easily do yourself, or you can go with the hanging bars. Again, making sure that if you're hanging it, you're either using it from some sort of truss structure that's ground supported, that's weighted for the rate, that's rated for the weight that you're going to hang, or you hang it from a truss or a beam or what have you that will support the weight of the wall. Now, panels like these, by default, these guys are a standard panel. They're 1/2 meter by 1/2 meter, or 500 millimeters square. Yay for metric. So easy to convert. Okay, if you're doing this permanently, a lot of times we recommend letting your computer go to sleep, but a lot of times, apologies for that, a lot of times we recommend going with a 1,000 by 500 panel because you save a lot of costs, often 30% or more, and you're going to get the same quality. It's just that it's a larger panel, so if you set up and tear down a lot, it's not ideal. But if it's permanent or semi-permanent, you really can save a lot of costs because you have half the power supplies, half the connection points, etc. Okay, so what else are you gonna need? Okay, so we've got ground support or hanging bars. We've got the panels themselves. You're going to need cables with your LED wall. Behind the wall, as we cabled it up in our first video, we cabled in PowerCon cables if it's an indoor wall, or True 1 PowerCon cables if it's outdoor, and the network cables. One from your processor, which you also need, we'll talk about that in a minute, to your wall, and then you need cables between all of your panels. Okay, some vendors, some brands, you got to be aware of this. They're going to include the cables when you buy a panel. Others are not going to include them at all. And so do be aware of that, because if a certain brand doesn't have the cables with it, that at retail cost is around $70 per panel just for the cables. So you've now bumped that price up. So you've got to be aware of that, and that's how we can help you compare with our tools like our LED wall calculator and our folks who are able to answer your questions. Okay, next, talking about panels, talking about things that you need, we got the processor. Okay, processors, there's a couple brands of popular processors, but here in the US, Novastar-based processors are the most popular. Okay, there are also brands like Colorlight, RGB Link, and Brompton, who's kind of the Cadillac or the Rolls Royce that everybody wants, but not all that many people seem to actually get. But Novastar works great, and a lot of the huge shows with massive LED walls that you see use Novastar every day. Okay, are all sending and receiving Novastar cards equal? No, but we're not diving into that here. So you get a processor. The processor is going to have Novastar cards in the back of it that send out to your panels. It also generally has a video switcher. So you can bring in multiple sources, like this one has SDI, HDMI, DVI, VGA. You can bring all those in, output it from the processor side to the Novastar side, or some of the Novastar branded processors do that part internally. Okay, you can also scale your image, etc. So to answer that question, you don't always need a video switcher if you're just doing multiple sources to a processor like this. Having a video switcher, of course, if you're switching between cameras and other sources and whatnot, may make sense in the whole scope of your rig, but you don't necessarily need a video switcher for a video wall. You can go straight from a computer, HDMI, straight into the wall. A lot of these processors, including the Gamma ones that we've got here, have USB. So you can plug in a drive with a video file and let it play if it's more of a stationary setup. Okay, let's talk about other parts you might run into. Okay, so when we're talking processors, first of all, each standard Novastar card on the standard processors, which is the V4S or similar, like this Gamma processor uses the same sending cards, they can control out of each port on that processor 1.3 million pixels. Now you can do backup data, and depending on what you do, it may or may not make sense. But typically, for about every 1.3 million pixels, you need another port. Each card has 2 ports. So just be aware when you are purchasing it, your wall may run on one processor. You may need multiple. That just depends. You may need a bigger processor with more outputs. That just depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay, and so wherever you're getting it from, they should be able to size that for you, let you know how you're doing. This small wall here, it's a 2.97 millimeter pitch wall. It's 4x4 panels, and it's no problem, one port on a card. Okay, what about cases? Okay, so pretty much every LED wall is going to ship to you in a road case. Those road cases can be used. Sometimes they'll have 6 panels, sometimes 8, sometimes 10. They can be used for other things when you're done. If you are installing this, then you'll use those cases for other things. Sometimes you can save a little bit of money by going with a wooden crate instead of a road case, but the savings isn't huge, and often you're gonna have to wait longer for what you need. Last but not least, and I'm making sure that we're not missing anything here, you need spare parts. Okay, LED walls are great. They're wonderful, and they do stuff that video projectors can't do, like be on a stage with front light coming at the wall and still be bright and clean and crisp, be rearranged to different sizes. There's a lot of benefits to an LED wall, but they're physical and they're not perfect. In handling, sometimes these pixels get bumped around and they get messed up. Okay, sometimes, somebody might you might have a pixel go bad. Okay, because of that, we recommend wherever you get it from that you get spare parts with your wall. that could be a whole extra panel, or that could just be like this wall from Gamma, comes with a kit from the factory. And in this kit here, I'll actually set it down here, you're gonna get a lot of different things. So you're gonna get pretty much every part, 4 different parts of the wall. You're gonna get cables, and most importantly, you're going to get modules, okay? These are the modules that build up the individual tiles on your LED wall. Now, they can be changed out with either a suction tool or a magnetic tool that you can purchase separately. They are actually fairly pricey, okay? And with the tool, you're able to grab the module and pull it out. Some are front serviceable, some only back, and then place it back, and then place the new module back in. You can go down, some folks, repair centers can go down to the pixel level, change pixels, but ultimately using these spare modules makes a lot of sense because they're gonna be pixels from the same batch that you had before, okay? There's also in here in this repair kit, there's power supplies, there's receiving cards for the panels, there's everything you'd need so that if anything happens, you can at least fix a little bit. If you're using these in live production, you may want to ask if you can purchase a second repair kit with your wall, and I apologize for that, I should go plug my computer in. But a second kit, because ultimately, if you do a lot of setting up and tearing down, there's going to be more wear on the panels and more opportunities for repair. I know that was a lot of info, but last but not least, just things to think about are the pixel pitch. So here, I'm standing in front of a 2.97 millimeter wall. That means in between each of these pixels, each of these dots, from center to center, there's about 3 millimeters, okay? Now, that does matter. What also matters is how big the pixels are, okay? So, and what the refresh rate is of the panel at the pixels are driving it. You want an LED wall that's at 3840 hertz. Okay, let's just say that. I don't make blanket statements a lot, but some vendors are still selling ones that are at half that at 1940 hertz. And with today's graphics and just what people see today, that's gonna look sluggish, it's gonna look choppy, it's not good, okay? So you want 3840, a good high refresh rate. Any reputable vendor is gonna have that. But a lot of these companies out there, like selling to LED walls to churches, they'll cheap out and use that 1940 refresh rate. And that's gonna be harder to get looking right on camera. It's not gonna look as good to the eye, and it's going to go out, it's gonna be sooner to when it's gonna look old and outdated, if not from the get-go. Pixel size as well. A lot of these cheaper vendors will go ahead and they'll do a really small pixel. They're called SMD pixels, so it's like this is an SMD 2121. So it's 2.1 millimeters by 2.1 millimeters. Some people in a 3 millimeter wall like this will do a smaller pixel than that. They'll do like a 1550. And when it comes to how that wall looks on camera, when it comes to how it looks in person, that ratio of the pixel size to the pixel pitch, the distance apart, really does make a big deal. So I know that's a lot of info, but I hope that helps you determine and really start to understand what goes into designing an LED wall for your space. If you're looking to purchase an LED wall and you don't have a place, you want someone that's helpful, that's gonna guide you the right way, but not oversell you something that's gonna be more than you need, then head over to Learn Stage Lighting Gear. We've got a calculator that's gonna help you look at some different walls and decide what's right for your space, and then we'll reach out to you from our team and we'll help you determine the right fit for your needs. With that, guys, I'm David from Learn Stage Lighting. I hope you enjoyed this journey looking at, okay, what you gotta know to design an LED wall. If you do go with us, we're gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting on like pretty much all of those specs. You've just gotta think about really the size you want, and we'll talk to you about pixel pitch and figure out, okay, is a 3.9 gonna be good, or do you need to go to a 2.9 or 2.6 or a 1.8? Probably not, but you never know, depends what you're doing. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in our next video, and of course, over at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. Thanks.